Know one thing. Here we go. Let's go in and get into this because we got about 15 minutes to finish up, and I want to make sure that I am respectful of your time this Monday morning, so I can get you off to a great start. Christopher's excellent inputs and outputs. 100%, man. 100%. So financial statements only provide a small window into your market's health. You need benchmarks. I should add it as benchmarks against competitors, um, and guidance with strategic decisions. So when we think about data, when you think about data literacy, I have a unique, I guess, perspective on data. Is because I got my undergrad in accounting, and while I hated accounting, and I lasted probably about 6 months in the accounting field, I could stand it. Everything I've learned, I actually have been able to apply throughout my career. And the understanding of how things work in the background of a business are extremely important. And so once again, while I didn't like my undergrad and or the like the undergrad, and while I didn't like and move into that field, I respect the discipline of accounting. I respect the discipline of understanding how businesses work in the behind the scenes. In retail, there is a lot of in front of the scenes, right? We see the product, we see the planograms, right? We see all of those different things that actually are the drivers for everything else that's behind the scenes. But it's the behind the scenes where we have to have a better understanding of what that looks like. So the financial statements are nothing but a lagging indicator of of previous decisions that we've already made, whether it's as an individual or it's actually as a company, right? That's it. When you think about your financial statements, they are a lagging indicator of decisions that we've made 6 7 months ago, sometimes a year ago, a year and a half ago, right? Because please understand that when your buyers are buying stuff for your stores, they're buying this stuff, a year, sometimes 2 years out, and they're betting on their knowledge from a trend standpoint of what this is going to look like, because you have to take it all the way back from looking at a specific trend, that's going to be 2 years out. You actually have to source all of that. You have to source the resources. You actually have to get the design made. You actually have to look at the supply chain. Where's all this going to be coming from? These are decisions that have been made, sometimes 1 2 years out, sometimes even 4 5 years out, and people are betting on that. So this is why I want you to understand all of that aspects of the financial statements piece, is because there's a lot of decisions that have been 1 2 years in the making that are now you're seeing as a result, right? How many of those new product launches that you have you had, right? You've worked with a designer brand, and whether you're with Target or some of these other stores, right? And you have a designer brand that's actually in your store. That has been 2 to 3 years in the making. So your financial statements are just a lagging indicator. They're just a small part of your health. They're a small part of what it is. The benchmark side of everything that I talked about is, what's your competitors doing? How are they doing? What does that look like? One of the biggest things that I would challenge you with today, if you're a market leader, store manager, VP of stores, whatever it is, I would challenge you, make sure that you do competitive shopping. And here's the thing. I don't mean just competitive shopping in the context of you just walk into the store, you take your name tag off, right? Those companies that use the name tag, you take your name tag off, put it in your pocket, and you just walk around and you hate on everything that they're doing well. I've been there. I've been there. You walk around the store, oh, that's whatever. Don't do that. Competitive shops should be about not just things that you dislike, but what are they doing well? What are they doing well? What are they doing better than you? And then here's the next level of that. Take that manager or that market manager out for coffee. I've done that. I've done that. It was one of the best things that I've ever done, was to take my competition out to lunch, and would meet probably on a quarterly. Sometimes we would meet on a monthly basis, depending on the market that I was in. And here's the thing: at the top, at the top, what I mean top level leadership and leadership mindset and perspectives, it's about collaboration. You compete at the bottom level. When you're at a certain level of leadership, your mindset should be about collaboration, because their business is their business. You get the example that I just gave you about everything that's gone into your financial statements have been decisions that have been made 1, 2, 3 years out, 4 or 5 years out, and now you're seeing the results of that. So those decisions are already in the pipeline. Does that make sense? Those decisions have already been made. They have already been made. And now you are just seeing the results of those decisions. So by you working with your competitors, if you will, learning what they may be doing, and it could be a direct competitor, it could be a non-direct competitor. And by you learning and understanding a little bit more about their business, guess what? That loads you with more information and data that you can provide to your boss, your boss's boss, to the merchants, to the buyers, to all the people that are up there, to actually say, hey, have you thought about this? Hey, I'm seeing this with my competitors. It may not directly impact them. It may not be like you're sharing trade secrets, but it may be something that we want to look at. Right. These are all the things that I want you to I want you to understand about data literacy. I know you're like, Steve, this has nothing to do with it has everything to do with financial statements. It has everything to do with your results. Everything. I because if you are able to take information in and create and make decisions based off of that, guess what? You are going to be winning. You are going to be so far ahead. This is the understand. This is why when we talk about data literacy, it's not the numbers are going to be the numbers. 1 + 1 is always going to be 2. It's always going to be 2. But how do we get to the first one? Then what does the second one look like, so that we can put them together so that we can get to 2, right? It's the behind the scenes aspect that we want to make sure that we are addressing, that we're talking about. All right. Let me know if this is making sense to you. Give me a thumbs up. Give me something that this is making sense to you, because this is really going to help you out with understanding about how to understand your data so that you can make better decisions. Okay. So here's ask one question. I told myself I'm going to try to keep myself on time today. Um, I think I'm going to do a whole webinar on this whole data literacy thing. I think I'm going to do a whole webinar, because I can go so much deeper, and with all of these topics. So here's to ask yourself one thing. What are the top 3 metrics and categories that you need to be focused on? What are they? What are those top 3 metrics and top 3 categories that you need to be focused on? And here, hopefully, all of you, if you haven't, I'll break it down here in a second. It's this 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle. Learn this, gosh, probably in 90, and it's an old principle, but I think I learned it in like 96 or something like that. My boss, we were going through my financial statements, right? And I was with Caribou Coffee at the time, and we were just going through my financial statements, and he just highlighted like 3 or 4 categories, like a product. And I was like, I got a whole list of products, a whole list of categories. He was like, tell me what you see. Tell me what you see. And I was just like, oh, wow, we're crushing it in that one. Ooh, we're crushing it in this one. We're crushing it in that one. Then we looked at the month. Same thing. Just highlight. Looked at the quarter. Same thing. You like those sound effects? And what we realized was that there are just certain categories. Blueberry muffins. I'll give you, I remember this to this day. Blueberry muffins was one of my top categories. Top categories. I mean, we would sell the heck out of some blueberry muffins. And what I realized was that we were running out at critical junctions within in the morning in certain stores that where I needed to up my blueberry muffin count. Guess what? We were able to sell through it. And then people are like, "Well, we're not going to be able to sell through it." Listen to me. When you put something in front of people and they don't really have another option to buy something, especially in that cafe stand perspective, right? Because in cafe business, there was this thing called the slam hour. It was like that 6:30 to like 9:30, 10 o'clock, where just everybody was just right. We still see it to this day, and blueberry muffins was that one category, for us, right? And then it increased our average ticket, right? From a conversion standpoint, I think I may have told this story too. Where I was observing a store for 2 or 3 days, and I had there was a customer that would come in, and they would get a tall no they would get a large coffee with a shot of espresso every morning, and that's all they got. That's all they walked out with. I said, did she ever buy any pastries? They were like, no. I said, okay. So I got up one day and was behind the counter and ended up giving her a blueberry muffin with her coffee for free. Just gave her the blueberry muffin for free. And guess what? Every day after that, she bought a blueberry muffin, right? So when we start talking about data literacy, it is more important than not just to talk about the results of the data. It's how do we make decisions to actually enhance and get the results that we want. So now, instead of this person just getting a large coffee with what they call a little red eye with a large coffee with just a espresso shot, now they increase the ticket with that blueberry muffin day in, day out, right? So the data piece is just the data. It is the decisions that we make that actually enhance the actual data. Okay, so I asked the question about what are the three things that you get are focused on categories and metrics. Um, Christopher says conversion. Yep. Yep. Units per transaction and traffic swings. Excellent. Excellent. Charles Jones says conversion, units per transaction. Do you guys work together? You guys work together, Charles and Christopher? If not, you need to. And growing shares of the diamond business. What is the diamond business? I mean, do you actually mean the diamond business? What do you do? I need to know this. I need to know that, Charles. I apologize for those of you who can't see the comments. This is over on LinkedIn. And then Christine says, I despise CV. It is inaccurate. Oh, okay, okay. I would love to pick it apart and study it more. Okay, conversion. Are you talking about conversion, Christine? And then of course, and then Cheryl over in YouTube says you agree. Some knowledge of accounting is good to have for any business owned. 100%, 100%. That understanding why your business does what it does is extremely important. 80/20 rule. It's not always 80/20. It's sometimes 70/30. Think about your and I literally just created an outline for a podcast episode that actually talks about the 80/20 rule. And the 80/20 rule is that 20% of what your outputs will give you 80% of your return. So if you have a list of 10 things, two of those things will give you 80% of your return. And it's not 100% exact science, but the idea is that we are focused. A lot of people, you are focused on the 80%, and that's only giving you the 20% of return. If you are to double down on that 20%, right, then you're actually going to get a higher return on your overall investment. Think about your team. Listen to me. We are fooling ourselves if we think that 100% our team is rocking it out for us. You got that core, 20, 30% that's like do or die. They will crush it for you. They will do whatever it is that you ask them to. And more importantly, they're actually adding, increased value, to the organization. But if we have to go a little bit deeper, we have to think about it in the context that it is a smaller number that's actually giving us the biggest, bang for our, the biggest results, for everything that we're putting in. So when you look at your categories, I know your boss. Here's the thing in retail. I know your boss says everything is important. I know your boss says everything is important. Here's the thing. They're lying to you. They're lying to you. I used to be that boss. I used to be that boss. They are lying to you. They, they, they are, what's important is what their boss and maybe sometimes what the shareholders sometimes will deem important at that particular point in time. How many of you have been on a call and everything's this for this week, right? It could be conversion for this week, right? Now a Wall Street Journal report could have come out that conversion is the wrong thing for retailers to report on. The CEO gets wind of that report. The CEO tells the COO. The COO tells executive vice presidents. Executive vice presidents tell the senior vice presidents, and da 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 da. Now you're on the call this week. Hey, you know what? I know we've been focused on conversion, right? But let me tell you what. Now we're gonna be focused on units per transaction, right? It could change, and this is why it's important for you to be able to still stick to some of those things that are extremely important. I know what you're saying, Steve, but my boss is going to be looking for me to go double down on those areas. I'm not saying that you don't do that, but what I'm saying is that you have to understand that there's going to be an ebb and a flow to your business and to the communication that's actually going to happen from a corporate standpoint. But there are staple metrics that, regardless of what may come and what may go, are going to be the things that are going to be driving your business. They're going to be driving your business. And you have to understand that. You have to be able to continue to speak to those metrics as well. All right. I hope this has really blessed you. Oh, here we go. So I know I have one more thing real quick for the ask one more thing. So revenue, conversions, customer traffic. So everybody in the chat, those are exactly some of the things. I didn't just write those. I didn't just write those. Those are exactly some of the things that I wrote down that were things that everybody kind of focused in on. But I want to talk about this one right here. I know I said I was going to be trying to be cognizant of your time, but there's just too much stuff for me to kind of I want to help you with. What about missed opportunities as a metric? What about that? What if there was a way for you to understand that regardless of the conversion and customer traffic, that you were missing opportunities within your store? Because your conversion is going to be your conversion. But what about the missed opportunities for you to convert more based on the traffic that you have? What about the missed opportunities for you to drive more revenue? You have to think about it in that context. Once again, 1 + 1 is going to always be 2. But what about if what if you exchange one of those ones for a 2? Meaning the 2 is now the fact that you were able to increase, the opportunities. You're able to convert more on those missed opportunities as well. And I said that I'm going to be doing a video on this, but Bellwether, who I work who sponsors this, it sponsors the podcast. They literally have, and this is so dope. This is so awesome. They literally have what we call where is it at? It is oh my gosh, where did I put it at? Let me make sure I got it here. It is it is a weighted opportunity loss. And I love that. I love that. I love it. I love it. Because when we start to think about, as a retail leader, if we can understand where we are losing the opportunities, when we are losing the opportunity to convert, it changes the game for us. It changes everything for us. So I want you to think about it. I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to do an entire video on their platform. But if you're not using their platform, how do you go about understanding where those missed opportunities are on the weekends, time of day? Over from an entire market standpoint, you may have an entire market that does well, Monday, Tuesday, then on Wednesday you're horrible. your scheduling may be off from an entire market standpoint. So you're missing opportunities. So these are the things that we want to make sure that we're addressing as it relates to missed opportunities as well. All right, cool. Before we move into the last thing, which is do one thing, I want to make sure that everybody comes to Thursday at 11 a.m. Things to never say on an interview. Right, our Thursdays have been amazing. Thursdays have been going are just awesome, a super duper blessing, and we've been getting a lot of questions around interviews and doing some interview coaching and training. I'm going to be doing a webinar, and we'll talk more about that on Thursday. But things to never say on an interview. There's a whole bunch of them, but I'm going to give you 5 of them to never say as a leader. And you may think you're not saying these things. You may think that you're polished and you're good to go, but there are little things that you may communicate verbally or non-verbally, to people as it relates to an interview, and we want to make sure that we address those as well too. All right. So do one thing. I want to make sure I get you guys out of here. Guys out of here. All right. So last week we talked about as it relates to data literacy. This is last week. Identify, learn, and teach. Right. Very similar to you identify the metrics. You learn them yourself as a leader, and then you teach them to your team. Right. And then you teach them to your team. So here's the thing that I want to leave you with today. So review, compare benchmarks, and take action. Review, compare, and compare meaning benchmark against your competitors or against history or against other markets that are very similar, and take action. I had a market. It was a tough market. It was a complex market, and I couldn't benchmark myself against a lot of my peers because a lot of my peers had non-complex markets. And so what I did was I compared myself against another complex market that actually happened to be in California. And we had similar traffic. We had similar buying patterns from our customers. Similar assortment. We actually had similar team member issues and things like that. And so that's where I say, once you review meaning that you've identified those areas that you want to actually go a little deeper and broader into, but then you have to compare it against other people, and then it goes to that point that I made earlier. When you're comparing the benchmarks, give that person a call. Hey, I see you crushing this week. How are you doing it? Like, what are you doing differently, right? How are you actually able to do this with the payroll that you currently have? Oh, right. That's a lot of us. How are you able to do that with the payroll that you currently have too? So I just want to make sure I get everybody's comments. So Christine says yes. Frida says yes. Speaking the truth. Thank you, Christine. And then Georgina, how are you doing? I used to look at what if, how much I could have sold if I had 100% availability. Yeah, right. If you were able to get a lot of from a staffing standpoint, if you're able to get your 100% of your store staffed and trained and developed, right, then you can think about how are you actually able to take advantage of those opportunities. This is why we're going to be talking about next week. We're going to be talking about retention as it relates to your numbers. So make sure you come for that. So review, compare, benchmark to take action. What action should you take? And this is once again me giving too much, but I want to do this, but I'm going to let you go. And Cheryl says she loved the sound effects. You're talking about when I was yeah, right, because that's exactly what it was. And then Monty, thank you. So focus on 20%. So what actions should you take? Identify the opportunities. Identify the gaps within within your benchmark, right? Within how can I say it, a trend of financial results, right? Not a one-off, not a week, not even a month sometimes, right? I'm talking about 3, 4, 6 months, right? Then also compare year over year. What happened? What was taking place in your market that year? Was there a lot of transition that took place? Was there a new product launch that actually took place? Right? Those things that you actually have to think about will actually, inform your opinion, inform your perspective, right? It provides a story of your financial statements. It's not just your overall financial statements, but it provides a story so that way you can actually make an informed decision. You can address concerns. And I love this, and I love it because I put this together, right? Take a partner. That as a retail leader, as a retail leader, that should probably be one of your biggest phrases that you use. Take a partner. Take a partner. If that is not in your vernacular, it needs to be, right? You will get yourself into a lot of trouble from an HR standpoint if you don't take a partner. And dare I say, you would get yourself into a lot of issues from a financial results standpoint if you don't take a partner. Taking a partner means getting another perspective on your results, right? And that could mean, when your results come out, jumping on a call with, with that peer. That's what I did. They were over in California. Every time our results came out, we were on the call together and we were talking about it. What could we have done differently? What did he do differently? What did I do as it relates to this category, right? So taking that, and now I'm loaded for bear for the next quarter that's coming up. But more importantly, I'm loaded for bear as it relates to the conversation and communication that I need to have with my boss and my boss's boss when they come into my market, and then we're able to actually have a different level of a dialogue, right? All these things help you with informing and giving you a different perspective around data literacy. And these all need to be seamless into who you are and how you lead and how you connect and grow your own leadership. And I should have put this in here too. Humility, humility. And maybe that's where I meant when I said take a partner. Another part of taking a partner, part of understanding data is being humble enough to say, I don't know why this occurred. Or can you help me create an informed decision of why this occurred? If you're able to be humble enough, right? Take a step back, slow the ball down so that you can speed up. You will have a better understanding, you'll have better information to actually move forward, right? So address concerns, take a partner, plan strategically, timing is critical. You have to understand how long something takes to get accomplished. And more often than not, it's going to take longer than you anticipate. Okay? As a retail leader, you have to be able to make a strategic decision or a plan, but you also have to think about who's involved in that plan. What are their skill sets? What about the store? Is a store going to adapt to this plan that you want to implement because your whole market is struggling with X, Y, and Z? So you want to actually implement this plan. What about that one store? They're not staffed properly. They've never been staffed properly. Their training's horrible, right? All these different things. So collectively, you may not be able to get there. You have to always think strategically about the timing it's going to take, and then the resources that you're going to actually need in order to implement this plan. It is not just jumping on a call and saying, I need you to hit conversion. Chris, I need you to hit conversion. Jamie, I need you to increase your units per transaction. Right? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. For some, it does because that's a fear. But guess what happens? It's going to go up for a minute based off that fear, because I'm going to, most people get off that call and they're going to run right down to their team. Frida, I need you to increase your conversion. I need you to get more. I need you to get more loyalty cards. Frida's like, oh, okay, Steve. And Frida acts out of fear, and that fear only lasts for a moment, and then those numbers go up, and then but they're not sustainable because you haven't fixed the root problem. You haven't fixed the root problem. Fear doesn't work. Fear works for a minute, and then guess what? Guess what's a result of fear? I talked about it the other week. Toxic work environments. Then nobody wants to do anything for you because what they know, your team is watching. They know every time Steve gets off a call with his boss or his boss's boss, he's going to come down and he is going to read me the riot act around why I am not able to get X, Y, and Z. And that fear will only last for a period of time. And that fear will turn into resentment. And they were like, oh, there's Steve. He's about to go up to the stairs. He's about to go upstairs for that call. Get ready, right? That doesn't help anybody. Doesn't help anybody. So the strategically planned piece means that it's a flip side of this, getting off the call, is to go now, hey, Frida, you mind if we have a conversation? I want to get your perspective on why we may be missing X, Y, and Z. Right? Who needs to be at this table? Oh, that's okay. I gotta go. Who needs to be at this table to have this conversation? If you don't take anything else, take that. Who needs to be at this table for us to have this conversation? Because the tendency is that it's only you, and you are going through the numbers, and you're going through you're creating your own story and your own narrative, and you don't have the right people at the table with you to actually help you create an informed opinion because you're not humble enough. And all of these different things, all these elements, um, all these things that we talked about today are the things that are going to help you from a data literacy standpoint. I really hope that you were able to get some things out of today as we spoke about things to ask around understanding that your financial statements are not just your financial statements. You know, they're just are not they're just a smaller picture. How to ask, let me just, I want to make sure I say all of these properly too as well. What are your top metrics, and categories that you need to learn. And then of course, to do one thing is to review, compare, and then take action. And then of course, the last thing we just talked about as it relates to identify opportunities and plan strategically as well too. Leave me some thoughts. If you're looking at this live or you're thinking about this, you're looking at this on a replay, I would love to get more of your insights and thoughts and perspective on, has this really helped you, get a better perspective around data literacy and how to look at data, read it, and then try to make an informed decision based on it.